Business Essentials Podcast. Unlock your career.
Learn to speak business English like a pro.
Hey everyone, what if I told you the difference between meh and take my money comes down to how you structure your offer? Today we're cracking the code on making offers people simply can't refuse, the kind that transforms your revenue overnight. I'm Marcus, and I'm absolutely pumped to have Sarah here breaking down the business English phrases that actually close deals, perfect for B2 to C1 learners. Sarah, so glad you're here. Why do most offers fail so spectacularly?
Marcus, I'm loving this conversation already. The average online offer converts at less than 2%, meaning 98 out of 100 people quietly say, no thanks. And it gets worse. In negotiations, 70% of deals fail, not because the product is bad, but because the offer itself is weak and unprepared. Most people are leaving massive amounts of money on the table without even realizing it.
Wait, 70% fail just because of how the offer is structured? That's incredible.
That's right. Research shows that effective negotiation can increase a company's revenue by up to 20%. But most people treat offers like guesswork. They pick a price that feels reasonable, throw in some vague benefits, and hope for the best. That's not an offer. That's a wish.
Wow. So what's actually happening in the buyer's brain when they see a weak offer?
Think about how the brain processes decisions. When someone sees an offer, they're weighing potential gains against potential losses. Here's where it gets interesting. People fear losing about twice as much as they enjoy winning. That's called loss aversion. So if your offer doesn't explicitly address their fear of making a bad decision, their brain defaults to no, because that feels safer.
So basically, even if your offer is good, if it doesn't feel safe, they won't take it.
Precisely. And there's another principle at play here: anchoring. The first number mentioned in any negotiation becomes a subconscious reference point. Research from ESMT Berlin found that in 81% of negotiations, higher first offers led to better outcomes. But most people anchor too low because they're afraid of scaring the buyer away.
For our listeners learning English, what does anchor actually mean in this context?
Great question. Anchoring means setting a reference point, the first number that shapes how people think about value. When you anchor high, everything else gets compared to that number. It's like when you see a product marked down from 200 euros to 120 euros. That 200 is the anchor, and suddenly 120 feels like a bargain.
Got it. So let's drill down into what most people get wrong. What's the biggest mistake you see?
Leading with features instead of outcomes. I see this constantly. Someone will say, "We offer 10 calls per month, dashboard access, Slack support." Just listing what they do. But the buyer is thinking, so what? What does this actually do for my business?
And that backfires?
Completely. Buyers don't care about your process, they care about results. Here's a real scenario. A consultant says, "We provide weekly strategy sessions, custom reporting, and ongoing optimization for 5,000 euros per month." The founder's response? "That's expensive. Let me think about it."
Because they're just seeing costs without understanding the value?
Right. Now, same consultant, different approach. They say, "We'll add at least 15 qualified demos per month within 90 days, or we work for free until we hit it. The investment is 16,000 euros, and based on your average customer value of 5,000 euros, that's an extra 75,000 euros in annual revenue."
Oh, wow. That's so different.
Because now the offer is framed around outcomes and ROI, not just activities. Negotiators who frame proposals in terms of benefits rather than features close deals 25% faster.
That's a good phrase, frame in terms of benefits. How would you use that in a real meeting?
You'd use frame when you're talking about how you present information. Like, "Let's frame this proposal around cost savings instead of implementation details." Or, "We need to frame our offer in terms of ROI to get executive buy-in." It's about strategic positioning.
Perfect. So native speakers would say frame the offer around outcomes, not present the offer with outcomes.
Both work, but frame around is more sophisticated. It signals that you understand strategic communication. It's the kind of phrase that makes you sound more senior.
Okay, so give me another example of what gets people in trouble.
Weak anchoring. This is huge. Imagine you're a freelancer pricing a project. You think, I don't want to scare them away, so I'll ask for 8,000 euros even though similar projects go for 15,000. You're anchoring low because you're afraid.
And what happens?
The client now sees 8,000 as the baseline. Even if they agree immediately, you've left 7,000 euros on the table. And worse, you've positioned yourself as less valuable. But if you'd anchored at 18,000 with a clear justification, then offered a streamlined version at 12,000, that 12,000 suddenly feels reasonable.
Because the first number set their expectations?
Absolutely. The data backs this up. Over 75% of negotiations are influenced by the first offer made. That first number is your most powerful tool, but most people waste it by playing it safe.
How would you use leave money on the table in this context? That's interesting phrasing.
When you leave money on the table, it means you're not capturing value that was available to you. You'd say, by not negotiating salary, you left 10,000 euros on the table. Or, that deal left too much value on the table for our side. It's about lost opportunity.
Got it. So what about risk? You mentioned loss aversion earlier.
This is critical. Most offers put all the risk on the buyer. It's like saying, pay me and hopefully this works out. But the buyer's brain is screaming, what if it doesn't? Here's a scenario. Someone is selling a 12-month consulting package for 50,000 euros. No guarantee, no milestones, just trust me.
That feels risky.
The buyer is thinking about everything that could go wrong. But what if you restructured it? We'll work together for 90 days. If we don't increase your qualified leads by at least 30% by month 3, we work for free until we do. The investment is 50,000 paid in quarterly milestones based on results.
So removed all their downside?
Not all of it, but you've capped it significantly. Research shows 65% of successful deal closings involve concession strategies and risk-reducing terms. When you add a guarantee or performance clause, you're addressing that loss aversion directly. Conversion rates can jump by 20 to 50% just from adding the right risk reversal.
Can you give me that term exactly? Risk reversal?
Risk reversal is when you shift the burden of risk from the buyer to the seller. You'd use this in sales, negotiations, anytime you're trying to make a decision feel safer. Like, our 90-day money-back guarantee is a form of risk reversal. Or, we need to build in some risk reversal mechanisms to close enterprise deals.
Perfect. And that's common in business English?
Very common, especially in sales and negotiation contexts. It's the professional way to talk about reducing buyer hesitation.
What about when offers are just too complicated? I've seen proposals that are like 10 pages of options.
That's decision fatigue, and it kills deals. When you give people too many choices, their brain gets overwhelmed and they choose nothing. I've seen companies offering 5 different packages with 20 add-ons. The buyer thinks, I need a PhD to understand this.
So what's the right approach?
Simplify ruthlessly. 3 options maximum: core, plus, premium. Make the middle option the obvious choice. It's got most of what they need without feeling excessive. When people see 3 options, they rarely pick the cheapest because it feels like compromising. They pick the middle one because it feels balanced.
That's smart. So the structure itself influences the decision.
Completely. Research on bundling shows that when you present prices as a single, inclusive offer, it reduces the mental burden of decision-making and increases satisfaction. People want clarity, not complexity.
Okay, so walk me through the framework. How do I actually structure a strong offer?
I call this the can't refuse offer system. It's got 4 phases. Phase 1 is diagnosing the buyer's reality. Before you talk numbers, you need to understand their current situation, their metrics, their pain points, their constraints. You're gathering the data you need to anchor and frame properly.
How would someone actually do that?
You'd ask specific questions. What's your current conversion rate? What's your average deal size? How many leads are you getting per month? You're not making assumptions. You're getting their actual numbers. Then you summarize it back to them.
And they confirm?
Right. Now you've established the baseline together. You're working from shared reality, not your assumptions.
What's phase 2?
Phase 2 is designing the value-stacked offer. This is where you connect their current reality to a specific future outcome. You'd say something like, based on what you shared, here's the proposal. We're going to increase your monthly demos from 6 to at least 15 within 90 days.
So you're being super specific about the outcome.
Yes. And then you present the pricing with a strong anchor. The all-in implementation is 16,000 euros. The core version, where your team implements with our guidance, is 9,500 euros. And if we don't hit at least 12 demos per month by month 3, we work for free until we do.
That's the risk reversal built right in?
Right there in the offer. Now it's not pay me and hope, it's pay me and I guarantee results or keep working.
What's phase 3?
Phase 3 is framing, anchoring, and de-risking the price. This is where you make the economics obvious. You'd say, right now you're generating 30,000 euros of new annual revenue per month. If we add just 9 more customers monthly at 5,000 euros each, that's 45,000 euros additional per month, or over 500,000 euros annually. We're asking for a one-time 16,000 euro investment to unlock that.
So you're showing them the ROI before they even have to think about it?
You're doing the math for them. When you frame it that way, small investment, massive upside, capped downside, saying yes becomes the rational choice.
And phase 4?
Phase 4 is closing, confirming, and future pacing. This is where you lock in the decision and walk them through what happens next. You'd say, so we're aligned on the all-in package for 16,000 euros with the demo guarantee, correct? They say yes. Then you immediately outline next steps.
So you're painting the picture of what success looks like.
That's called future pacing. You're helping them visualize the positive outcome. It reduces buyer's remorse and cements commitment. Most people skip this step and wonder why deals fall apart after verbal agreement.
How would you use future pacing in a sentence?
You'd say, during the close, I used future pacing to help them see what success would look like in 90 days. Or, future pacing is critical for reducing buyer's remorse. It's a sales and psychology term that's really powerful.
Perfect. So native speakers would say future pacing, not showing the future.
Future pacing is the professional term. It signals you understand persuasion psychology.
Before we wrap up, let's recap the key terms we talked about today.
The main ones were anchoring, frame around, leave money on the table, risk reversal, and future pacing. Remember, anchoring means setting a reference point with your first number. It shapes how buyers perceive all subsequent value.
Great. So our listeners can use these terms when they're structuring offers, negotiating deals, or presenting pricing strategies.
These are foundational concepts for anyone in sales, consulting, or entrepreneurship.
All right, so Sarah, what's the one thing you want people to take from this conversation?
Your offer is not just what you're selling. It's how you frame value, manage risk, and guide the decision. Most people focus on their product when they should be focused on the buyer's psychology. When you anchor strategically, frame around outcomes, remove risk, and make the decision simple, you're not manipulating, you're clarifying. That's when offers become irresistible.
Quick teaser before you head out. Next episode, we're talking about what to do when someone hits you with a lowball offer. How do you push back like a pro without blowing up the relationship? We'll dig into the psychology of effective counters and the exact phrases that protect your value.
I've definitely had those, wow, that's insulting moments, and froze on what to say next. So this one's going to be seriously practical.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. You're the reason we love doing this.
Take a deep breath. Know your worth, and we'll see you next time.
Business Essentials Podcast. Unlock your career.
Learn to speak business English like a pro.